we have Common Room to talk about a future of robotic restaurants.
Hello. We build robotic restaurants. My name is Piers. I'm one of the founders. This is the type of food we sell, so it's like whole food organic bowls. I'll go along. So in 4 pictures, as you can imagine, robotic restaurants are a little bit out there. So we've got a software engineer working his first job in the restaurant. We have strongman Eddie Hall working in the restaurant. We have a queue out the door with our bear mascot. And then we also just have some marketing on the right of sort of our brand. So the brand is called Common Room. It's targeted towards students, but also anyone who's like looking to get that community feel back. And yeah, behind Common Room is Kaikaku. So that's the tech company, which is the same founding team that makes the robots. So I am joined by 2 other children. I'm 21. My background is I worked at McDonald's for 3 years, got traumatized a bit, went to LSE, and then ended up doing another restaurant business in LSE with Joseph, who's also on the screen. So we did a dark kitchen business that we scaled to 3 locations, and then ended up dropping out of LSE to start this company. I'm originally from Scotland, but grew up in Barnsley, so well done if you place that accent. Joseph is Austrian, did a few startups, dropped out of Imperial. Ivan was second in his class at Imperial, was a delivery rider during uni. And then alongside us 3 is also Dr. David Sharp, who's a little bit older. He used to teach at Imperial, also worked 10x at Ocado, which is like their automated warehouse solution, if anyone's familiar. But yeah, we're like mostly young guys working 100-hour work weeks, just trying to get this to work. And so with all that high energy and enthusiasm, you need a little bit of direction. And so we get that direction from our advisory board. So Don Furtman, former chief development officer at Subway, was at Subway from 160 locations to 40,000. Dave Crean, who was chief science officer at Mars, managed a $500 million R&D budget for food safety. And then Jonathan Hart was MD at Caffè Nero, and Ed Shelton, who was head of NPD at Dyson. But yeah, when you try to attack the high street with automation, you get a bit of attention. We've also raised $2.5 million in venture capital, so we've been around the press. We were in the Telegraph last week or 2 weeks ago. We were on French national news the other night, and then Business Insider a few months ago. But digging into the interesting part, which is the automation. So we call it Fusion. And so it is food production automation, because when we look at the applications, you've maybe seen like the bins on wheels that go around and serve food. We're not really into that because people are quite good at hospitality. They're not very good at making food. You know, you're doing the same operation over and over again. I did it for 3 years at McDonald's. You are not only just doing that task, but you're also thinking in your head, okay, what goes in this item, how much goes in this item, and you're doing that hundreds and hundreds of times a day, which is quite difficult. So we decided to go for that as low-hanging fruit. This is Fusion. If you can visualize, essentially you put a bowl on the start of the conveyor belt, and then it moves along and it dispenses food. Those tubes get filled with food, and it goes in stations. And then beyond Fusion, we also make some software. So we have our own kiosk software because, you know, turns out like Vitamojo or something is great, but doesn't have an integration with random automation. We also have an AI platform for accuracy and allergen protection, where we can like identify the actual food going into the bowl or make sure nothing gets missed out. And yeah, we are actually only just over a year old. So this is where we started. We were working out for WeWork. We converted a WeWork office into a laboratory. Spent 6 months just building tech, and then around January signed a lease in Brunswick Center, which is like 5 minutes from King's Cross. Fit that out in 3 weeks. Aged myself a year because you're looking at the legal team, the design team, the project management team. And yeah, we opened around April and got swept off our feet with demand. And you can see some of the pictures of like the evolution of the tech. So a big part towards the end is modularity, where all the parts come on and off, because you've seen a little bit of automation in the US, and the big annoying part is it saves labor, and then it takes just as much labor to clean it. So we made sure to make it modular so you can take it apart, throw it in a sink. And then the other sort of novel part about what we do at Brunswick is it's not just the restaurant, it's the head office, it's the workshop, it's the laboratory. So very interesting spec to come to a landlord with. It was an Ann Summers, and we basically carved it up to be this restaurant, be this laboratory, but it means that we can iterate so much faster, which is why we're only a year old. So we start out, we make a design change, we manufacture it in our basement, which has 9 3D printers, and then we just run it out into the restaurant, operate it, and then we actually have a one-way mirror going into the head office where we just watch and see the customer reaction, and we have all this data popping up, so popularity of items, speeds, times, revenue. And then, the type of food we sell, as I said, is like whole food bowls. It's actually designed by a Michelin-trained chef who, while he was at it, got a PhD in microbiology, so a nice fusion between technology and food. And then this is roughly what our store looks like. So we have one person operating the robot, one person handing out food, and then specific focus on this third person here, which is the greeter, who is like in front of the counter. Basically, we're not buying into replacing labor for the sake of saving costs, because fundamentally the customer does not care if you make more money, they only care what's in it for them. And so our view is we can take staff from making food, which is what they're bad at, and put them up front to speak to customers. And so we've actually seen that work here, where out of all of the brands nearby, we've got a 4.9 on Google. Everyone else is trading below that because we have dedicated staff towards customer experience. So you've got this cliche of automation companies that want to get rid of labor. That's definitely not our view. Our view is like improving the customer experience, because, you know, post-COVID, people just don't have the same enthusiasm anymore. A lot of the people who were really into that part of the job have left and gone to do other things. And so we think this is the right solution moving forward. But yeah, as I said, we've raised $2.5 million venture capital, so aggressive need to scale, 10 stores in 12 months. Come find me if that's interesting. We also do white label this technology, so we're dealing with clients from 10 stores to hundreds of stores. If you're crazy enough to put some technology in your kitchen, come find me, and yeah.